At Thanksgiving, my mother tapped her glass, smiling that bright, polished smile she always used when she wanted everyone's eyes on Lily. "Your sister's wedding was just beautiful," she said loudly. "So, Lauren, when's yours?" A few people laughed. My father kept carving the turkey like it was some emergency task no one else could handle. Lily didn't say a word. She just watched me, still and careful, like she already knew what I might say. I set my fork down. "I already had mine," I said. "You got invitations." The room dropped into a silence so sharp it almost had weight. My dad's hand paused mid-cut. "We never got them," he whispered. So I reached into my bag. And that was the moment everything they'd been hiding finally started to surface. Growing up, I learned early that my family loved symmetry. Perfect photos, perfect milestones, perfect little stories they could tell other people. And in every single one of those stories, Lily was the center. I wasn't bitter as a kid. I thought that was just how families worked. One child glowed, the other stepped aside. One took the stage, the other clapped from the wings. By the time we were teenagers, it wasn't just a pattern anymore. It was policy. A system. My mother curated Lily's life like a brand new showroom collection. Dance classes, cheer tryouts, competitions, photo shoots, a hallway full of framed certificates and trophies. It was like walking past a museum exhibit of Lily's greatness every time you went to the bathroom. Whenever I had my own moments, they barely registered. A science fair ribbon. A college acceptance letter. Mom would smile politely and say, "We'll take a picture later, sweetheart. I need good light for Lily's new headshot." I didn't fight the system. I adapted to it. I became good at watching, at anticipating what other people needed, at staying out of the way. I got really good at surviving quietly. Seattle changed that. Moving 3 hours away for work wasn't rebellion. It was oxygen. I built a small, ordinary life that was mine. A tiny apartment with tall windows. Stacks of research notes everywhere. Shirts that smelled like the coffee Ethan made every morning. My job analyzing water and environmental data wasn't flashy, but it mattered to me. It had weight and purpose even if it didn't impress the people my mother spent her life trying to impress. And Ethan, he saw me in a way my own family never bothered to. He remembered the things I said. He asked follow-up questions. He noticed when I was tired, even when I tried to hide it. His family noticed me too. Not because I performed for them, not because I looked good in their photos, but because they actually cared. The first time his mom, Helen, hugged me, she didn't let go immediately like she was ticking a box off a list. She held on for an extra moment, warm and certain. She asked about my work. She remembered what I told her the next time we saw each other. His dad, Robert, did too. They weren't perfect people, but they were present. That was new. So when Ethan proposed on a foggy June morning by the water, I said yes without even thinking twice. We didn't want a big production. We picked a small coastal chapel, invited the people who truly knew us, kept everything simple and real. The only thing I secretly, stubbornly wished for was that my parents and Lily would come. That just once, they would choose me. I designed the invitations myself. Had them printed early. Mailed them with signature required because I knew my family's habit of losing anything that wasn't useful to Lily's story. I triple-checked addresses. I refreshed tracking numbers like it was a ritual. When everything showed as delivered, I finally let myself breathe. Then came the silence. No calls. No texts. Not even a half-hearted "congratulations" in the family group chat. Weeks passed. The wedding happened. The wedding ended. Still nothing. I fed myself 100 soft lies to avoid the hard truth. Maybe the mail got mixed up. Maybe they were planning some surprise. Maybe they were waiting for the perfect moment. But deep down, something colder had already taken root. Someone did not want those invitations seen. And I had no idea just how right I was until Thanksgiving night. The silence after the wedding didn't just sit there. It spread. It seeped into everything, like a slow leak. At first, I waited. People get busy, I told myself. They'll reach out. They'll at least ask why they never got an invitation. But days became weeks. Weeks became months. And the quiet stopped feeling like oversight and started feeling intentional. I tried reaching out. I called my mother. Straight to voicemail. I texted my dad. He replied, "I'll call later," and then never did. I opened our old family group chat, the one we'd used since I was in college. My name was gone. No dramatic exit. No big blow up. Just removed quietly, like you uncheck a box on a form. Erased. One night while Ethan and I washed dishes, I tried to sound casual as I brought it up. "Maybe it's some kind of glitch," I said, though my voice shook. He dried his hands and looked over at me. "Lauren," he asked gently, "did they ever respond to the invitations? At all?" I shook my head. "Not once." He didn't accuse. He didn't push. He just said, "Let's check the logs." He helped me dig through email activity, something I never would have known how to do on my own. And there it was. The access logs for the family email. One invitation notice. Opened. Deleted. Permanently erased. The timestamp was crystal clear. It wasn't a glitch. It wasn't forgetfulness. Someone had gone out of their way to make sure no one ever saw my messages. The worst part was that I already knew who. I could see her in my head, standing in the kitchen of our childhood home, sorting mail like she owned it. Lily, flipping through envelopes, deciding what mattered and what didn't. She had always been the gatekeeper. She handled Mom's appointments. She sorted Dad's bills. She answered the landline and screened calls, deciding whether it was worth interrupting dinner. If something passed through that house, it passed through Lily first. The more I thought about it, the more everything lined up in a way that made my stomach burn. She was planning her huge September wedding. 350 guests. Designer gown. Custom everything. Her entire identity revolved around being the main event. My little coastal wedding, even with a tiny guest list, still had the power to pull some of the spotlight away from her. Lily never shared attention easily. Still, I needed proof. So I pulled up the tracking receipts I had saved. 4 packages. 4 signatures. My name as sender. My parents' address as destination. And one signature I recognized immediately. Lily's. The little curl at the end of her name, the confidence in it. My throat tightened. She hadn't forgotten my invitations. She hadn't misplaced them. She intercepted them. She made sure my wedding never existed to anyone in that house. Ethan touched my arm gently. "Lauren, what do you want to do?" I didn't have an answer. Anger would have been easier. Rage would have made sense. But what I felt was older, sharper. A wound that never healed properly being opened clean. What do you do when the people you love choose not to see you? Thanksgiving was coming. I almost skipped it. Almost let them go on pretending I'd never gotten married, that I was just waiting. But pretending was what built this entire mess in the first place. So I made a different choice. I went. And I took the truth with me. From the outside, Thanksgiving always looked perfect. White tablecloth, polished silver, a candle in the middle that could be in a catalog photo. The second I stepped through the door, I felt it. That old familiar pressure settling over my shoulders like a coat I never asked to wear. Lily was already posing near the fireplace, her husband adjusting her hair like they were shooting a holiday ad. My mother fussed over the turkey while retelling every detail of Lily's September wedding to anyone who would listen. My father poured wine like a machine, eyes distant, like he'd checked out years ago. No one asked how I'd been. No one mentioned the wedding they all missed. No one even acknowledged that I was different now. I sat directly across from Lily. She never looked at me once. She didn't need to. Silence can be a performance, and she'd always been very good at performing. Dinner began exactly the way it always did, like a script no one bothered to update. Compliments flew toward Lily from every angle. Her dress. Her venue. Her astonishingly curated guest list. Her connections. Her September wedding that apparently still needed to be celebrated months later. Every sentence was a reminder. They showed up for her. Every time. Without hesitation. Meanwhile, not one person at that table acknowledged that I'd had a wedding of my own. A life of my own. A day that should have mattered to them, even a little. Then my mother tapped her glass. Sister's wedding was great, she said brightly, turning to Lily with that approving little nod. So, Lauren, when's yours? A few people chuckled. Even my father's hand paused, the turkey knife hovering like it didn't know what to do next. Lily kept her eyes glued to her plate, too still, too composed. That was the tell. She knew exactly what was coming. She just couldn't stop it. For years I would have laughed the jab off. Shrugged. Pretended it didn't sting. Let their words slip under my skin like splinters I'd pull out later in private. But not this time. Not after everything they buried. I set my fork down gently, calmly. I already had mine, I said, my voice steady. 6 months ago. The shift was immediate. Like all the oxygen got yanked out of the room. People froze. Forks mid-air. Eyes wide. My mother's smile collapsed. My father stared like he wasn't sure he'd heard correctly. Across from me, Lily's face didn't move an inch. She knew. She knew where this was going. You got invitations, I added. Gasps. A quiet clatter. Someone dropped a spoon. My father whispered, we never got any invitations. There it was. The lie they'd rehearsed without ever speaking it out loud. Something inside me settled, not anger, not rage. Clarity. I figured you'd say that, I replied softly. I reached into my bag, slow and controlled. No dramatics. No trembling. Just truth. I placed my phone on the table. The screen lit up, the reflection catching the candlelight like a blade. Every pair of eyes locked onto it. This was the line I had never dared to cross before. The moment I stopped letting them rewrite the story of my life. I tapped the screen and opened the receipts. 4 deliveries. 4 signatures. All marked received. I zoomed in on the first one and turned the phone toward the table. The looping, confident signature at the bottom of the page was unmistakable. Lily's. My mother gasped, a soft, broken sound. Her hand flew to her mouth. My father leaned forward, like he needed to get closer for reality to feel real. Lily's husband, Ryan, stiffened. His eyes darted from the phone to Lily like someone had just spoken a language he didn't know she understood. Lily didn't move. Not a twitch. Not a blink. I could feel my pulse in my fingertips, but my voice stayed calm. These were delivered April 23rd, I said. All 4 invitations. Signed for by Lily. Silence crashed over the room again. But this time it wasn't confusion. It was exposure. My father whispered, this must be a mistake. It's not, I said, swiping to the next image. This is the postal tracking log. Priority mail. Signature required. All confirmed. All delivered. I paused, letting the weight sink in. And all intercepted. My mother shook her head so fast her earrings trembled. No. No. Lily would never. Oh, stop, I said softly. Not harsh. Just done. You keep saying what Lily wouldn't do, but you never look at what she actually does. That hit her. Her entire face froze. Ryan's voice finally entered the room, quiet but sharp. Lily, did you sign for these? Lily blinked. Not thoughtful, not slow, but mechanical, like she was trying to reboot an answer. I don't remember, she said. Maybe I grabbed the mail. I didn't see any invitations. I stayed silent. Silence, I learned long ago, can be stronger than any accusation. My father stared at her now, a frown cutting deep lines into his forehead. You didn't see 4 packages from your sister? Around the time you knew she was engaged. Lily snapped, the first crack in her perfect composure. It's not my job to track everyone's mail. It was the wrong thing to say. And she knew it the moment it left her mouth. My mother reached for her. Sweetheart, don't, no, I said quietly. Let her talk. She's been talking for years. Lily glared at me, her voice trembling with anger. What is that supposed to mean? I didn't answer. I didn't need to. Instead, I swiped to the last screenshot. The email log. This, I said, is the activity record for the family email account. The wedding announcement email I sent in April was opened from this house. Then deleted. My father's jaw tightened. Who has access to that email account? I asked. Everyone at the table knew the answer. Everyone had always known. Lily broke first. I didn't delete anything, she said too quickly. I tilted my head. Then why does the log show your device ID? Her mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. Maybe I clicked it by accident, she stammered. I don't know. Why are you attacking me? I'm not attacking you, I said. I'm showing you what you did. My mother exhaled hard. Why would Lily ever hide your invitations? Why? Would she sabotage your wedding? That's ridiculous. There it was. Her favorite line. The one she'd polished my entire life. The one she used every time Lily hurt me. You keep asking why, I said. Here's why. I looked at Lily. My wedding was in June. Hers was in September. I held her gaze. You didn't want anyone talking about mine before yours. For the first time, Lily flinched. Like the truth was a slap she never saw coming. That's insane, she hissed. You always twist things to make me look bad. No, I said quietly. You did that yourself. Ryan pushed back his chair, standing now. Lily, he said, voice shaking, is this true? She stared down at her napkin. Her shoulders trembled. I don't. Everyone always acts like Lauren is so innocent, she choked. She never needs anything. She never wants anything. She ruins nothing for anyone. She just exists and makes everyone feel, I asked softly, makes everyone feel what? She shot to her feet. Feel guilty. Feel small. Feel like she doesn't even have to try. Ah. There it was. The real confession. Not just about the invitations. About everything that came before. Her outburst hung in the air like a broken chandelier, glittering and dangerous. Not because it was loud, but because it was honest in a way Lily had never been before. I leaned back slightly, studying her the way you would study a puzzle whose picture you suddenly understood. So, I said quietly, you hid my wedding because what? Because it was quiet? Because it didn't compete with your 6-tier cake and your string quartet? Because it didn't revolve around you? That's not, she gasped, but the lie dissolved before it even formed. The truth was already spilling into the room like smoke. My father rubbed a hand over his face. Lauren, we didn't know. If we'd known, you would have come. I finished for him. After years of missing every milestone. After forgetting every birthday. After making sure Lily's needs always came first. His eyes closed. He didn't argue. He couldn't. My mother's face twisted with a familiar defensiveness. You can't put all that on us, she snapped. We did our best. No, I said. You did your best for Lily. For me, you did the bare minimum and called it fairness. Even Lily, who had always been quick to defend herself, sank into her chair. Her shoulders collapsed inward like a building losing structural support. She didn't try to argue that one. For the first time ever, the weight of decades pressed into my chest not as grief, but as clarity. I looked around the table, at the people I had spent my whole life begging to see me, and I finally told the truth. I didn't lose my family tonight, I said. I just stopped pretending I had one. My mother's eyes widened, as if she'd been slapped. Lauren, she whispered sharply, don't you dare talk like that. Why? I asked softly. Because it ruins the story you built. The one where Lily is perfect, Dad is neutral, you're the peacemaker, and I'm the problem. Dad shook his head. No one said you were the problem. You didn't need to say it, I replied. You showed it. Over and over. The room went still, the kind of stillness that only happens when a truth finally clicks into place. Ryan sat back down slowly, like he was watching the pieces of his marriage rearrange themselves into someone he didn't recognize. Lily whispered, Lauren, please. That one word, please, carried years of guilt, fear, and the realization that the control she'd held for so long was slipping from her fingers. I stood up, pushing my chair back with a soft scrape. I'm done begging for a place at this table, I said. I'm done asking you to show up for me. I'm done pretending that Lily's choices don't hurt me. And I'm done accepting your silence as anything but agreement. I took a breath. The kind that feels like stepping out of a cold ocean and into warm air. I'm done. My father rose too, reaching out like he could pull the words back. Lauren, don't go. We can talk. We are talking, I said. For the first time. And for the last time under these conditions. My mother's eyes brimmed, her voice trembling. We can fix this. You can't fix what you refuse to acknowledge, I said. And you refused for years. I picked up my coat. With every inch that the fabric slid over my arm, I felt lighter. I walked toward the door. Behind me, I heard Lily's soft sobbing. I heard my mother whisper my name like a plea. I heard my father say, we should have checked. We should have asked. But their regret wasn't my responsibility anymore. I opened the door, the cold air slipping in around my ankles. I paused just long enough to say, you didn't miss my wedding. You chose not to see it. Then I stepped outside, letting the door close behind me. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just firmly. A clean, final line. And for the first time in my life, the silence that followed belonged to me. Ethan opened the door before I even reached it, like he had been waiting for my footsteps. One look at my face and he didn't say a single word. He just wrapped his arms around me, steady and sure, and held me until the shaking stopped. No questions. No judgment. Just presence. Something my family had never mastered. The next morning, his parents invited us for breakfast. No pity. No theatrics. Just coffee, warm food, and conversation that didn't require me to earn my place. Helen squeezed my hand. Your family here, she said softly. Not because you married my son. Because you matter. A week later, Lily sent a long email, soft with therapy language, apologies, explanations. I read it. I didn't reply. My father started calling every few days. Not to justify anything. Just small steps. Careful steps. I let him try. Then, one afternoon, he found one of my wedding invitations buried in a storage box in the garage. Proof. Confirmation of what I already knew. He mailed it to me with no note. Just the envelope. It was the closest he'd ever come to an apology that felt real. My mother never reached out. And for the first time in my life, that absence didn't feel like a wound. It felt like an answer. I used to think family was something you protected no matter the cost. But standing in my own home now, with Ethan cooking dinner and laughter drifting in from friends who choose me every single day, I finally understood the truth. Family isn't the people who share your blood. It's the people who show up. Who listen. Who stay. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from the people who never learned how to hold you. If this story felt familiar, tell me where you're watching from and share your experience below. And don't forget to subscribe for the next chapter.